When I was 11 years old, my mom took me with her to a women's conference. I sat at the very front row, listening intently to the guest speaker speak about the power of pushing through hardship in order to share their story with others as a testimony of survival and faith. It was the first time at such a young age that I felt inspired and riveted by someone else's story. And I wish that one day I would have the wisdom and poise she does. She spoke so much about how she had found her calling and felt at peace after this hardship she had faced. At 11, I wished and prayed that I would face a struggle severe enough that I too could come out with a sense of belonging, a better sense of understanding about the world around me. I knew I wanted to do something, but I didn't know how or what. Now, what my younger self didn't understand was that purpose can be found without going through a horrific, life-changing discovery. And my journey to come to that understanding is how I found my piece of purpose. A purpose-filled life is one in which we have a clear sense of direction and meaning. It means identifying your unique strengths and interests and using them to make a difference in the world around you. It means living a life based on your own beliefs and values, so you find more fulfillment in the things that you do. Merriam-Webster defines purpose as something set up as an object or an end to be attained. The 6 Seconds, the Emotional Intelligence Network, defines purpose as the cumulative effect of meaningful goals. It's the impact we want to have on the world around us. It allows us to set goals, take action, and overcome obstacles with greater ease and motivation. But it also requires willingness to take a risk, to step outside of our comfort zones, and to face our fears and insecurities. Discovering our purpose is an ongoing process of self-reflection, self-assessment, and exploration. It involves seeking guidance and mentorship along the way, but by taking intentional steps toward discovering our purpose, we are able to live a more fulfilling and more meaningful life while also contributing to our community. Walking with purpose is more important than chasing after recognition or even about getting that feeling of fulfillment, but it's about the ripple effect that you have on the world around you and how you engage with your community and ultimately the world. Now, for me as a kid, I was always talking. When I was in school, we had something called the Stanford test, which is effectively the STAR test, or State of Texas Assessments of Academic Readiness for homeschool kids. It would be time for the listening comprehension section of our test, and because I was known for being a bit of a chatterbox, there were some jokes about whether or not I would pass this portion of the exam. Now, of course, I always did, but my ability to communicate ideas effectively became one of my superpowers. Only when I shifted my perspective of communication from only contributing my ideas to understanding and elevating the ideas of others. Being purpose-driven means you identify your values, your superpowers, and your beliefs. When I realized being a communicator was one of my superpowers, I began to rely on it as the key to accomplishing my goals. However, I wasn't able to use this to aid in my purpose until I expanded my view of communication. I challenged myself to grow those listening skills to my broader community, both digitally and in real life. As later in life, I began working for an organization called Gen Z Girl Gang. GGG is an organization which aims to redefine sisterhood for a new generation. There, I work as the director of community and nonprofit partnerships. Throughout all of high school and middle school, I challenged myself to remember that promise I made to myself at 11 years old. To be a woman of purpose and continuously push myself to build up these soft skills that would help me in my future, from the smallest day-to-day things to more significant events. Now, I didn't have a speaking coach or someone to teach me organizational strategy and networking in high school, but what I did have was clubs, where I challenged myself to get more involved and speak up often. I had friends and family who I asked to listen and critique me as I prepared for speech and debate. I had to fine-tune these skills and gain confidence I would need in the future. Though most of all, I was content knowing that I was aligned in something that fit both my core beliefs and my values. Building communities where young people would feel seen, heard, and encouraged to use their gifts to impact others. It's important to identify what makes you unique and how to use those superpowers to contribute to the world around you in a specific way. These are things that come naturally to you, so ask yourself, what am I naturally gifted at? It's important to consider not only how these superpowers benefit yourself, but how they can be used in service for others. For example, if you're a great listener, you could use that skill to help others feel heard and understood. If you're a talented writer, you could use those skills to inspire and educate others or share ideas that you hear from other people. By identifying your superpower, you can begin to see how you can make a meaningful contribution. The second step in identifying parts of your purpose is to identify your beliefs. These are the things that are most important to you in life. They're the principles that guide you and your decision-making and shape your worldview. Oftentimes, these values are established by our family and environment, but they can also be built on personal experience. For example, one of my core beliefs is the power of community care. At the center of community building and working in partnerships is having a heart not only for the people that we are serving and hope to uplift, but those we are working with as well. At GGG, we have a practice at the end of every call where we show our appreciation for each other. We popcorn it around the room, acknowledging the contributions or support our team has for one another, whether that be recent successes or something that we're celebrating for one another. Community care stretches beyond just the larger action of managing our community that is 15,000 members strong, but it starts on an institutional level. I find myself aligned when I realize the impact being a part of my team has on others. And at its core, identifying your purpose in the long term is about creating benefits that impact not just you, but someone other than yourself. Now that you have discovered your values and identified your superpowers, you have a clear idea of the small things that you are naturally gifted at and how they can pave the road for your future. Discovering your purpose, though, is just the beginning. The next step is deciding for yourself how you're going to walk in that purpose and what tools you'll need along the way. How do you plan on accomplishing your long-term goals? Community building aligned with skills I already had, but it took a deeper look into how I wanted to build community for me to feel aligned with the work I was doing. During my senior year of high school, I faced a range of challenges and accomplishments. However, what stood out to me was how I was cared for by my community and my ability to create community spaces where people felt comfortable being themselves. For me, it was essential to make others feel at ease and help them develop a sense of belonging as we were in a transitional phase of life. I realized that this was a vital aspect of building a purpose-filled life for myself. In this transitional phase of life, we were facing adversities that we were forced to be resilient in the face of. But I learned along the way that there's more importance in not just resilience, but having the emotional intelligence to deal with and understand when people are going through things that are invisible to you. I wanted to help others build their emotional intelligence and encourage them to find their purpose in life as well. I learned that growing your emotional intelligence through introspection is important, but growing your love for people is essential. This process is one that replicates itself time and time again as you grow and develop. As we age, so does our values and belief. But while different people have different values, one that will aid everyone in creating a life of purpose is empathy. The next step of learning how to walk in that purpose is about living a life that is not centered on just your perspective, but the perspectives of others. Empathy allows us to connect with others on a deeper level, to understand their perspective, and to make a positive impact on their lives. It's an important tool in your toolbox, no matter what impact you hope to leave on the world. Regardless of your industry or age, or even what you hope to do in the future, living an empathetic life should be tied to your values and the value you place on human connection. The smallest action you can take is to better understand yourself, so that you can walk in the world more aware of the positive and negative impacts you make on your community. On the smallest level, leading a purpose-filled life looks like genuinely caring about someone else, asking them, "How are you?" and meaning it. It's about showing kindness to those around us and being mindful of the impact that we have on their lives. It's important to acknowledge that this is a never-ending process and it requires continuous effort and self-reflection, but is one that benefits pay off more than we can ever realize. Leading a purposeful life is about discovering your values and superpowers and learning how to walk in that purpose. It's about living a life centered on empathy and self-reflection and building meaningful relationships. By doing so, we can impact others positively and create a ripple effect on our communities. As young people, we possess immense power to make a difference. However, our education system fails to include emotional intelligence training to prepare us for the future and help us avoid burnout. Instead, we constantly compare ourselves to each other and seek recognition in an ever-growing and ever-competitive world, rather than focusing on collaboration. By living in your purpose, you have the opportunity to inspire and lead by example, creating a positive ripple effect that can change both your community and the world. So, what would happen if we taught each other how to live a life aligned with our unique purposes rather than trying to conform to social expectations? We were born at this exact period of time, with the world being more interconnected than ever. We are constantly told that we are setting a precedent for the future, and it's important that each person fulfills their individual goals in order to do so. So I encourage you to take the time to identify your strengths, beliefs, values, and superpowers, and utilize your own personal empathy and emotional intelligence to live a purpose-driven life. Thank you.